the southern hemisphere, you're probably really happy because the days are getting longer. But yeah, so anyone from Australia, good day. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen really quick here. I don't have to wear headphones today because we're not doing any audio. I don't have to listen to anything or hear anyone talk. Um, so let's make sure my screen is showing here. It'll be this one here. And I don't think we'll have any audio, but we should be okay. All right, cool. So hopefully you guys can see my screen. Let me know in the chat if you can see my screen here. I just want to make sure that everyone can see before we get started. You should see the outline for the webinar today. Cool. All right. Someone said yes, so I'll take that as a yes. A couple things, promo things to get through before I get started on the live demo here. We have the online discount for a global training center. If you have any sort of academic affiliation, if you're a student, if you're a teacher, make sure you check out this link. I'm going to send this, I'll put this in the chat window for you guys so you can see it. If you're a student or a teacher, any academic affiliation, make sure you get this because you have a 60% discount on all of our software, which is the deepest discount we offer. So it behooves you to to apply this discount to your purchase. All right. On top of that, it's Black Friday. Thank you, America, for giving us this beautiful holiday where everything is discounted and stuff. You can get all your good stuff before Christmas after Thanksgiving. But we have 50%, so it's almost at the level of the academic discount. But right now, if you are thinking about putting down on some of their software, now is the time to buy it. This is probably the biggest sale that we have all year. So make sure you check out our Black Friday sale. That's just in the Reallusion store. I'll put this in the chat window as well if you guys want to. Oh, someone's from Australia. Must be nice and sunny down there. It's like -10 right now here, unfortunately. But cool. All right, so that's really all the promo stuff I have to get through. I don't want to spend too much time on the promo stuff because we have a lot of live demo things to get through. I'm going to show you basically the workflow that I use with Blender and Reallusion products together. We're going to be using both Character Creator and iClone. We're going to start off with Character Creator, and then we'll move into iClone in a bit. So you can see if you've already signed up for this webinar, you probably are familiar with the demo outline. Excuse me. We're going to be covering all this stuff. Cameras and lighting, we're not going to spend too much time on that. We'll probably get to that at the very end, but again, if you guys have any questions at all, make sure that you put the questions in the Q&A section there, and I will get to those at the end of the live demo today. Cool. So happy to have everyone here with us today. Yep. I don't understand Fahrenheit, unfortunately, Michael. So I know that's somewhere around 0, maybe. I don't know. Anyways, we'll get started here. We have a character creator open right now, and I'm going to basically bring a character in. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to do a very simple morph adjustment. You're going to do some morph editing in Blender using data link and sending it back and forth. It's super easy to do, and I'll show you that in just a moment here. Okay, so let's bring a character in first. I'm not sure why my character creator is not showing up. The scene manager and the content manager aren't showing up, but there we go. Oh, that's fantastic. All right, well, here we are. Let's make sure that we're where we want to be. Okay, so if you use Character Creator, you have some free royalty-free characters in your content library. You'll find them under Characters, under Actor, under Characters here. Okay, and under the second character folder, you'll find the base folder right here. Okay, and in this base folder, these characters are all royalty free. So you can just basically, you can download them in FBX format for free on our website as well. If you're not familiar with that, there's a section on the website I can show you later if you want. But you can just download or apply the neutral characters, the base characters here in iClone format. These characters can be used royalty free in anything. You can modify them, mess around with them as much as you want. Okay, so no worries here. I'm going to be starting off with this Toon character here, okay? So I'll just bring her in, and we're going to be using her basically the entire live demo today. And we're going to talk about morphs first, adjusting morphs in Blender, and setting that up. Let me make sure that character creator is open. I had this issue before where the character just doesn't show up on the screen. So hopefully this will um, maybe reopen character creator here to make sure that we're in the right place here. Okay. Hopefully this we might have to I might have to hopefully not restart and come back in, but this doesn't happen very often, but sometimes my character creator will just the characters won't show up. So I have to restart it, and this often is the way that I can get it resolved. Basically turning things off and turning them on again. And of course it has to happen during the first 5 minutes of the webinar. But bear with me here, and we'll get our character in. And if not, we can still send it to Blender. I can do it blind, but yeah, we'll get this taken care of here. Okay, now it's good. All right. So we'll bring our character in. Basically, turning things off and turning them on again always resolves the issue. But we'll get our character in, and we might as well start up Blender while we're at it. Okay, Blender starts up in like 2 seconds. So there's our character on the screen right now. We'll get Blender started up here. And like I mentioned, the first thing we're going to do is talk about morphs. Let me bring my face over here. Okay, we'll just press A and delete everything in the scene right now. We don't need it. Okay, so here's our character. This is the base character, like I said, royalty free. And you know, you can morph this character if you want using the Reillusion morphs. You know, go over here to your morphs tab and modify, and all the different morphs here. You can modify them all separately. I'm going to do a little bit of custom sculpting in Blender. Again, I'm terrible at sculpting. I'm terrible at mostly everything in Blender, but here I am showing you what to do here. So let's go ahead and get DataLink started first. Now, I'm not going to go through the installation process of DataLink because there's a tutorial on that. If you're not familiar with how to install DataLink, there's a tutorial on our Learning Center, and I can link that later. It'll show you how to install everything. So if you want to learn how to install, if you don't know how to install anything, put that in the Q&A, and I'll get to it in the live or in the Q&A session later there. Okay. But under plugins, you'll find once you're installed under Blender Pipeline, you'll find the DataLink right here. And I always like to dock it over here. All right, so now it's not started yet. Just simply click Start Server. It's listening, and then go to Blender. Press your N key to bring up the side menu here, and go to CC Link and go Connect. Okay, everything's connected. That's basically it. That's how easy it is. So now we can basically bring this character into Blender if we want. Now it's the full like material character. The character has materials and shaders and everything assigned to it already. But if we're only doing morphs, if we only want to modify this, like do some sculpting in Blender, we can just go here and select send morph, okay? And that'll only send the basic version of the character, basically the mesh of the character. So if you click that, send morph in DataLink here, you'll get the character mesh prepared in Blender. And once that sends over, then we can just do some really quick sculpting. Okay, it'll be there in 2 seconds. All right, there we go. And it always comes up to an A pose in Blender if you're doing sculpting, by the way, just for ease of sculpting. Now you can just go over here to sculpting in Blender. To re-zoom in here. Now the important thing to note when you're doing sculpting, when you're doing morphs in Blender, is do not change the vertice count. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit later about adding a tail to this character. We're going to add a tail to this character. And once you do that, DataLink won't work. And I'll show you, I'll tell you why more about that in a little bit here. But let's go ahead and just do some like very, very simple sculpting. And like I said, I'm by no means a sculpting artist. Okay, so let's go ahead and just do something like, I don't know, let's just grab her nose, maybe make her nose a little bit more pointy. She's going to end up kind of like a cat woman. Okay, so we'll just do like this. We don't want to exaggerate things too much. I can maybe pull out the ears a bit. Oh, crap. Let's just undo all that. And let's make sure we have symmetry on first up here. Okay, so we'll do symmetry on the x-axis. All right. Almost forgot about that. All right, and you can do much better sculpting than this, hopefully. But yeah, I just want to bring the ears up a little bit. Give her some kind of cat ears. They're more like elf ears, but we can call them cat ears, whatever. Okay, and then twirl around. Okay, as you can see, it's all symmetrical. And oh, crap. Sometimes I get mixed up going from Unreal to Blender with all the hotkeys and stuff. All right, and then we can do something like, let's maybe use this to inflate her cheeks a bit. Maybe make it more like a cat face. So you can, this is an easy way to expand the face like this outwards. Okay. Whoa. You can make it really funny, but all right, we'll just work with that. And you bring it out like this. Okay. That looks kind of more catty. You can always expand the eyes, but be careful with the eyes because sometimes the eyeballs can get expanded and break through and everything like that. But okay, there we go. That's all the modification we're going to do. We're going to point the nose a little bit. We're going to point the ears a little bit and expand the face to more like a cat-like kind of face there. All right. And when you're done your sculpting, again, with the N hotkey, go to CC link, and all you got to do is click Go CC. Okay. This is like the easiest part of the entire thing. So now it'll ask you to import a character morph. Now name your morph. We'll call it, I don't know, cat face. Again, you can do the body as well. I should have probably done the body. Okay, we can worry about the body later. But cat face, again, we can go back and forth again later if I have time to do the body. But category, we'll just call it body because the body category includes body and head. Okay, if it's only head, you can select only head. But I'll just do body for ease here. And I have auto apply down here, so it's going to automatically apply to my character. Okay, so you can see there, boom. Very simple and easy. We expanded the face, flattened the face a little bit, puffed out the cheeks. The ears are now pointy, and the nose is out further. All right, that's how easy it is to do morphs back and forth. And if I want to, let's go back and expand other parts of the body that are normally expanded on superhero type female characters. The chest maybe we'll do some grabbing. Not that kind of grabbing, just sculpting grabbing. And then we can maybe, I don't know, expand the shoulders a bit. Okay. And then again, same thing, go to CC. All right. And this will be a different one. So we'll call this cat face with body. Okay. And it'll just basically create a slider. And I'll show you those sliders in just a moment here. Okay, so there you go. So we have a little bit more chesty thing going on there. All right, and you can see under here, under Actor, Custom, Blender, we have our sliders. So there's the cat face slider. Okay, that's the one for the head. Okay, and then the cat face with body. Okay, so this is a separate body one. So it'll save it as a separate slider. Okay. There's one for the body, one for the head. Of course, they're both under body, you can see here, but that's because I saved them both under body. But there you go. All right. And again, Blender's sculpting tools are probably a lot better than Character Creator. I think we can all agree on that. But there you go. Okay, cool. So that's really all there is to the morph stuff. That was nice and quick. Let's go ahead and talk about how we can modify the character's appearance and the outfits. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is we'll give this character some clothes and some bang, bang, bang. Let's apply this jumpsuit here. This is from Polygon Miniatures. You can find this in the content store. And I'll just throw this full body on. Okay, we're not going to worry too much about the clothing. I think this one looks nice though. But we can go back to the shoes and we will apply some shoes to the character. Okay. All right. Now, of course, in Blender, we still just have the sculpt. Okay. We can go out of sculpting mode into like object mode. And you can see the modifications are still there. Okay. Just wanted to quickly go back into Blender to see what we have. And let's go to the hair. And let's give our character some hair. Hair group. Hair. This is the e-girl content pack, by the way. I think it's pretty cool. I think this is a good one to check out if you're interested. The e-girl, it's a number of different e-girl hairstyles, kind of more contemporary type hair. This chic half up one is pretty cool, I think. Very simple one. And of course, you can modify the hair and do all that kind of fun stuff. I'm not going to do that right now just because it's not really the topic of the webinar. We can always do it later if you guys want to see more about it. And then, of course, we have the skin and everything. Now we can go into skin, and we can give her orc skin if we wanted to. I don't think we'd want to do that, but I'm a little bit curious to see what it would look like, but I don't want to waste time. I've never tried that before, but curiosity kills the live demo sometimes. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of ones right here. And I mean, these are all like you can use content pack stuff. These scan reality ones are from the content pack. Scan reality, they're really good, high quality skin things. We'll just do 2K. We don't need to worry too much about realism on this character. This is like an overall skin we can apply to the character. Now this is not this is basically it's like your basic skin right there. So you can see it's really cool. Now the thing about these kind of skin textures is you can see there's a little bit of eyebrow underneath. And if you take this into the right here, if we go over here to the let's go to activate editor right now. Okay, so it'll just bake the result. We can always undo it later, but yeah, if we go here, you'll see that it'll get rid of those plastic cartoony eyebrows. In this case, it really depends on the kind of look you're going for. Do you really want these plastic eyebrows or do you want more realism? Obviously, this character is more cartoonish, and you'll see those eyebrows will remain there. You can click on the skin right there, and if you wanted to use this skin template with this character, you'd have to get rid of the eyebrows generally because those eyebrows are actually separate meshes on the Toon character. So what you would have to do is you'd have to go and basically right click on every texture that has eyebrow stuff and go to launch it. I'll show you how to do this really quick because it takes like 2 seconds. I just don't want to spend too much time on stuff that's not relevant. This is kind of relevant though, but okay, if you let's zoom in. So in this case, obviously you'd want to get rid of those eyebrows. So generally the best way to do that is get the hell out of here. No, thank you. It's not listening to me. Okay, whatever. Anyways, that was weird. Clone stamp tool. Okay, just make sure you have a bit of a smaller brush there. Hold Alt and click, and then I know it's ugly. There's like a line right there, but this is the fastest way to get rid of eyebrows. It's dirty, but sometimes it's what you got to do. Oh crap! Nope, we don't want that. Anyways, you should probably do a better job than that. You can blend it all and stuff like that, but you would basically have to do that with all of the other maps. Again, like I'm not going to spend time on that because it's just a kind of waste of time for this tutorial or this webinar, but you'd have to do that with the base color. If I mouse over the normal map, you can see the normal map also has the eyebrow stuff. So even if you get rid of the base color texture, it'll still have the normal map and everything like that. So what I'll do is I'll deactivate the editor here, and then we'll just go ahead and do it manually with the because one thing I kind of like about this Toon character, you'll notice when I undo everything, she has kind of a nice kind of red glow on the nose, and there's subsurface scattering on the nose there as well, which you kind of generally want to keep that kind of stuff, So you can see the nice kind of blush on the nose there. So this suits Toon characters more. So I'll just stick with this. And then of course, if we wanted to modify this skin from its base right here, we can always do the same thing. All right. Go into the editor, and I'll show you briefly how to modify the skin color, just in case you wanted to do that on a Toon character. Same skin base here. Make sure your head material is active, and then go down to actually we'll go to the body here, because we'll see it's kind of easier to see on the body. So skin base here on the body, same thing, just the body textures. And then here you go down to color, the black body ID, whatever. You can darken the color, you can lighten the color. So if we wanted to make her a little bit more pale, we could kind of increase the color like that. We can decrease the saturation, increase it. We can make her purple if we wanted to. It's all up to you. But once you've done that, to harmonize the body with the rest of the skin, just go up here and go click on update. Okay, and that'll basically copy the modifications we made from the body texture to the head texture and everything. So there we go. We just lightened her up a little bit. Okay. Um, and then there's also makeup, all right? So since she's like a cat lady, where she's going to be like kind of like a cosplay sort of cat woman lady, whatever you want to call it. Um, let's go up to our makeup category here. And this is a content pack, by the way, makeup and SFX. I'm just going to apply a full makeup because again, I don't want to spend too much time modifying stuff in character creator. And find this makeup here. This is like foundation, eyelashes, eyebrows. This is all the whole shebang put together. Of course, you can do these individually, but if I apply this one, it'll switch over to makeup here from skin, and we'll be able to see some makeup on her and everything. All right, so that looks kind of cool, right? It modified the eyelashes, so they're kind of more sparse, I guess. They're not like a big, thick eyelash. But again, here you're going to see the eyebrow thing. So what you can do is you can just take away the eyebrows, okay? Because this is just texture. This is just a texture additional painting on the skin. So we can actually click on the eyebrow and just delete it. Okay. Everything else looks cool. You can always change the modify other things like the lips, for example. You can make them bright or darker, change the hue. Okay, cool. I think I'm pretty happy with this. Again, I don't want to spend too much time on all this. It's not really nonsense, but okay, we'll stick with that. All right, that'll be our skin modification. We can deactivate the editor. And if I wanted to, I could even manually modify the base color of the base textures in regular mode here. So if, for example, I took this character and I go over here to skin head, again, this is going to be our base color, otherwise known as a diffuse map right here. Okay. And we can just basically click that. We can right click it and launch texture. So that'll load up Photoshop again. Maybe I shouldn't have closed it, but it doesn't take too long to load. And if I wanted to, um, since she's like kind of like a cosplaying type person, let's maybe just go to a brush here. And I had this brush I was messing around with earlier. I don't know if I should, it's going to look good, but there's a better one, I think. Let's just try this. Okay, I don't know if it's going to look good, guys, but we can change the angle maybe a little bit to, let's say, -50. Oh, other way. -80. Let's try this. All right, we can just go. Boop. Okay. This looks so stupid. But okay, she's gonna have a kind of a stupid cat whisker thing going on there. And then file save, and that'll just update our diffuse map back in character creator. All right. It doesn't really look okay. We'll just say those are nice whiskers. All right. I just want to show you the process. I'm not here to wow people with my Photoshop skills. All right. So we got that going on. So now we put some clothes on her. We put some shoes on her. We modified her skin, her makeup. We actually manually modified some crooked whiskers on her face. Probably should have been higher up. But yeah, okay. So ready to go with this cat lady. Now what we got to do is go back into Blender data link here. And now instead of sending avatar, we can just go ahead and click on update and replace. Okay. So if we click on update and replace, what's going to happen now is it's going to update the character in Blender. It's going to update it with all the new materials, all the new textures, the hair and everything, all the clothing. That's going to update as well. And we'll see it appear here in just a moment. And once that happens, we can apply an animation to her. Okay, let's just go into a shader view here where we can actually see what's happening. So you can see up here, there's a neutral F update and there's a tune neutral F. Okay, so the update is the one that we have to keep now. Okay, generally you'd want to delete the morph modification stuff we made before. So just click on that and you can just delete it. Okay, and then the armature here, we can just kind of delete that. All right, so boom, there we go. We have basically the updated character. That's how easy it is to go back and forth. And this is really kind of the whole crux of this webinar is just how easy it is to go back and forth. And I'll show you more examples later on. Maybe to make this look better right away, we can just go to create here, go to scene tools. And these are just lighting presets you can use. Okay, so like we can give her like this leading role one. This one looks kind of cool. All right. So like within, what is like 30 seconds, we just have this nice, beautiful lighting. We have all the materials changed, everything like that changed, and all the shaders automatically assigned. No need to tweak any of the materials and everything. It's just perfect, So that's honestly such a huge thing for me personally, or anyone who works in Blender would probably understand that's a really huge step. That makes your workflow a lot easier. Okay, so what if we wanted to like, for example, send over an animation? We can send over an animation from iClone, or sorry, from Character Creator, no problem. Like you can just apply animations to your character and Character Creator to test them out. Um, there's the animation player that has a number of preset animations. For example, like I don't know, female. Let's do a pose one. Okay, these are just testing motions basically to test out your character's results. So if you play this back, you'll see she does some blinking, her eyes are moving, she has facial expressions. Okay, these characters all have blend shapes. She looks very sultry there, whatever. Okay. And then what we can do here is basically just send motion. Okay, so if you have a motion you want to apply, just click on send motion, and that'll just apply the motion to your character that's already in Blender. Okay, so just be aware of course, in this case, they have to have the same poly counts. Like between what I did and what I'm sending in motion right now, I can't add accessories or anything like that. It has to have the same poly count. All right, but now you can see in Blender, we have this character. Looks pretty cool. Let's play back. And she should be. Yep, okay, there she goes. It's just a bit slower in Blender since we're dealing with more complex shaders. Okay, maybe if I just scrub through the timeline manually, it'll go faster. Okay, so you go. Everything's all sent over. Boom. All right. So I mean, if you're really if you have a character in iClone or even a scene, I'll show you the scene later, stuff later in iClone. But if you have a character in Character Creator, you just want to kind of test it out. This is how easy it is to go back and forth in Character Creator and just like modify things. And you're basically good to go here. Okay. Now, what if I want to, say, oh, I want a different outfit, in Character Creator. Then I can just go over to my clothing. Let's try a different outfit by the same developer, by the way. This short jeans outfit's kind of cool. Body. Okay. We don't have to do high poly. We'll just do the low poly one. Boom. And then there's another set of boots here I found that was kind of cool. From this Tiffane art. Totally not Tifa. One of my favorite video game characters of all time, by the way. If you're old enough to remember Tifa, then you're in like cool books. Anyway, so they're a bit more high poly, so it'll take a second to apply. These ones are these are better boots. All right, so now she looks more like she's ready to, I don't know, fight someone or something. I don't know. And of course, you can throw other accessories on there too. But now, again, we have to use the update replace, same as we did before. So update replace, you can see the clothing icon beside it. That basically just means you're updating the clothing and the materials on the character whenever you press this. Okay. So you'll see in a second here, she'll have a different set of clothing. And we didn't do any changes to the skin, but you can do that as well. You can change the hair and everything. And when you click update replace, it'll just replace everything. Or it should. What the heck happened? Invalid character for some reason. This literally worked 2 seconds ago. Oh, maybe I need to select the character? I think maybe I need to select the whole character. I had only the boot selected. I hope it replaces it. Because, yeah, this generally works. I think it's because I only had the boots selected before, but let's hope that it's sending everything over now. I think it's working this time. I think it's because I only had the boots selected. But yeah, it should update the clothing and everything back and forth. There we go. Okay. So again, just get rid of your armature there, and boom. All right. There's your clothing. Make sure your whole character is selected, not just the boots or whatever. Okay. Cool. So we're pretty much good to go here, right? I think that's the workflow in Character Creator. It's as easy as that, really. Um, so let's go ahead and take a look at, say I wanted to, like, for example, add some bones. I want to add a tail onto this character, add some bones into that tail, and give it some spring effects. Okay, because the next half hour, we're going to talk about basically adding geometry to the character. Be aware that once you add geometry to the character, you're not going to be able to use data link, because data link is um, only compatible really with the base character meshes. Okay. So if you add anything to the mesh, like if you add armature to your mesh, or if you add any additional vertices to your mesh, it's not going to work with data link. Just be aware of that. So you'll have to do the manual. It's still really easy, and I'll show you that in a sec. You'll have to do the manual import and export using the auto setup. It's boohoo. It only takes like 30 more seconds, really, but honestly, it's really cool. All right, so let's go ahead and start a new project then. We'll just unlink everything first. Okay. So we'll stop this. And now we are no longer linked. Okay. I still have this character in Character Creator, so don't worry. If we erase it from Blender, it's all good. Okay. Now I have this basically mesh that is like a cattail mesh, essentially. And let's find that in this folder here. And when I load this in, if it loads in, there we go. It's just an OBJ of a cattail, basically. And this is from, oh gosh, I forget who it's from on Sketchfab. I want to give credit to them, but apologies for that, whoever's cattail mesh this is. So did I bring it in? No, I don't think I brought it in. I clicked on something else. I got distracted by my own talking. All right, there it is. All right. So there's our cattail. And to add, armature to this cattail, you can just go up here to add in object mode. Just go ahead, click on add, and click on add armature and single bone. It'll give us a single bone at the top there. Of course, we can use S to scale it down, make it smaller. That'll do, right? And then R to rotate it. And you probably want to go over here to viewport display and click on in front so you can actually see the bone. Right, and make sure you're in like an orthographic view like this when you're doing this. Otherwise, it'll kind of go outside the mesh. And then you want to go into edit mode, and you'll see it has a little nub selected there of the bone. You can press E for extrude, and that'll extrude the bone to like another length right here. Whatever. We're not going to worry too much about the quality of this, as you'll probably see, because I suck at weighting. All right, skin weighting. All right. So now we have this mesh with the bones in it. Okay. And we can go back to object mode. If I press A to select all and Control P, all right, that'll give us an option to set parent to. And now here, you basically just select with automatic weights and under armature deform. And basically this assigns automatic weights to your tail. All right. So again, I'm not going to go into the weighting because painting skin weights is the bane of my existence and it takes forever. Not really forever, but it's too long to do in a webinar when we have other things to do. But again, if you want to paint your skin weights, just go over here. Let's make sure we have everything selected. Shift select, and then we should be able to. I don't have everything selected. Anyways, once you select, we're in edit mode. Once you have the mesh selected and the armature selected, you should be able to go here to paint mode. Maybe, sure why that's not working. Maybe I press A. Anyways, paint mode should come up there, and I'm not sure why it's not, but because I don't have. There we go. All right, I had to manually select it from the whatever. Okay, so let's go to weight paint here, and then you'll see the individual paints, and you can go to use all these paint things. You can paint here, Okay, so again, this thing here is selected. This is controlling that part of the when it's red, that means it has a stronger effect on that part of the mesh. Okay, if I think was it shift uh there's a hotkey. What is the hotkey again? Shift something. It's one of these, isn't it? Shift space. Yeah, shift space. All right, shift space is the hotkey for this, and you can go down to adjust any of these. You can draw. You can select select box. Okay, so select box and B is the hotkey for that. So B, just like this, just like that, whatever one you want to paint. Okay, and then you just draw it. Shift space, draw. Okay, so this one's selected. Yada yada. But we have it already assigned. All right, so I automatically assigned it, so I'm not going to worry too much about that stuff. What we can do now is just go ahead and export it. So this is going to be FBX file. Make sure we select it all first. A for select all, by the way. Export and FBX. Oh, let's save it to our desktop. Let's call it test tail yo. All right, and then export that FBX onto the desktop. Okay, so now we have a tail mesh that's loaded up with bones. We can basically load it into our character, apply it to our character rather. If we find that in the desktop, what did I call it again? Test tail yo. All right. So what you want to do here then is just click and drag your test tail yo into there and bring it as a prop. And there you go. Whoops, make sure we're over here. Bring it up. We can use R to scale, E to rotate. I'm not sure where tails are supposed to be on the back of humans. That's for the furries to decide. And there you go. It's relatively in the middle. Generally, what you want to do is put your character in a T pose for this or an A pose. Make sure we have the character selected first. Pose. Yeah, generally you want to do this when you're, doing this kind of stuff. Looks pretty good. I think we're okay with that. Select the tail and attach it to the character. Now, again, after you do this, you're not going to be able to use data links, so just be aware of that. Okay. So down here, attach to pick parent and hip, and it'll automatically select the pelvis. It's always good to select the hip instead. Okay. And boom, there you go. You have a tail on your character. Now, if you apply a motion to the character, crap, make sure the character is selected and female walk. And then we'll talk about how to assign some spring bones next. So right now, the tail is just stiff. I mean, generally you want to have a spring bone effect on the tail. So now let's go over here to, with the character selected, go to edit spring. And this is where we're going to basically just apply, with our bone weighting that we did automatically in Blender, we're going to apply the spring stuff to our character. Where are we here? Nope. Nope. I think I have to select the actual thing first. Oh, yeah. You have to select the root node. So this is, I should have shown you the hierarchy of the stuff we brought in. So this is the root node. This is just what it was called when we brought it in. This is the cattail. There's the armature of the cattail, bone 1, bone 2, bone 3. Okay, so boom, that's the whole armature that we created earlier. So there's the root node. Now go to edit spring, and it should show up in your bone editor here. There we go. Okay, so now we select, let's go a little closer. I think hopefully you guys can see the white bones on the white tail there, but if we select them, you can see them there. Okay, so there's bone 1, 2, 3, 4, and the nub there. Okay, so now all you got to do is in edit spring, basically assign them as active or not or whatnot. So the first one, generally you want to keep this one's inactive because that's the kind of the base. And as a rule, you generally want to go down the hierarchy of the bones and slowly decrease the hardness. And I'll talk about that in just a moment here. So the first one, select bones 1, click on active over here. For this one, we're going to choose rotate spring type. Okay. And you can see it distorts a little bit. We can always fix that later. But hardness, you generally want the hardness fairly strong. Again, it looks kind of weird if we do this right here, but generally you want to be fairly strong. Don't worry about the way it looks right now. It's the way it looks later that matters. Um, so we'll do this one out of 5, maybe. Okay. And then go down to bone 2, active. We'll leave that one at a 5 as well. Bone 3, active. We'll take that one to a 4. Oh, we got to make sure these aren't rotate, by the way, not translate. And again, there's so many things you can do with spring bones. I'm just doing a really quick job here. Quick and dirty is the name of the game. And then last one, we'll just give it a hardness of like, I don't know, 3. Make sure it's rotate. All right. And then select your bone group. And here's basically where you can get more in depth when it comes to spring bones. When you select your bone group, it'll select the entire group. Okay. You can split it into different groups if you want. I'm not going to worry about that. But you'll see here, if I, for example, decrease the mass, it'll float a lot more. So it'll be more fluffy. Okay. The strength of the bounciness will affect it as well. Again, this is affecting all the bones in the whole hierarchy, so just be aware of that. We can make it more bouncy. Okay. And what we can do is we can actually preview this, which might make it a little bit easier. Although if you have a bad connection, so you can see it's bouncing around. If we increase the mass, you'll see it'll look like it's heavier. Okay. Decrease the mass, it's more like floating. Oh, that's too low. And then the strength. Okay. So just basically find the sweet middle of all these. And you can see there's some kinks, obviously, in the bones because I literally did the bone weighting automatically. So you're not going to get the best results. You want to go ahead and refine that. Less bounciness. What kind of tail do you want? Do you want a perky, bouncy tail? I don't know. Whatever. Basically, the point is here that you can see it bouncing around. I think with a little bit more mass, it looks kind of cool. Again, to each their own. All right, but that's how you assign the spring bones to your character in Character Creator. All right, so now we have 15 minutes. We're going to basically send this character to iClone. We're going to create a scene in iClone, and I'm going to show you how to do some animation and transfer the animation over. And we're going to rigify our character, and we're going to do some motion editing as well. Okay, what we'll do, we'll just go ahead and go out of edit spring mode. Select our material. I have a base color I prepared for this character, so it doesn't look so normal. All right, so we got some cool pastel stripes along the length of the tail there. I know it doesn't look cool, but it's cool enough. That's all that matters. All right, so we'll say she's a cosplayer. She has kind of elf ears, or supposed to be cat ears. She looks like she spent 5 minutes on her Halloween costume. Anyways, all right, so we have this character now. We can basically exit Blender now. We don't need this. Oh, we need it again for iClone later, but okay, anyways. So let's go ahead and load up iClone then, and we'll send this character over to iClone. So iClone is obviously where all the animation happens and the putting together the scene happens and all that stuff. So once we send this character over to iClone, then we can delete or we can close Character Creator, since we're not doing any more stuff in Character Creator. Just reading the chat really quick. A lot of stuff here. Roofies. Yeah, spring bones, honestly, like I said, if you wanted to watch me paint the skin weights or the weights for the bones and everything like that, it's going to take quite a while. As anyone can tell you who's familiar with it, painting skin weights is gradually going, less and less. Basically, you want to create a gradient of strength to weakest points where the mesh is being influenced. It's all fiddle faddle foo. Anyways, all right, we'll just go ahead and load this character now into iClone with her selected, obviously. Easiest way to do this is click up to send to iClone. All right, and we're going to throw that character into iClone, and then we'll close Character Creator. And we will get to some animation, yo. All right, so there she comes in with the test motion, by the way, which, you may like it, may not. Just close this down. All right, so there's our character in iClone. Now I have a motion that I prepared. It's called an aerobic motion. It's kind of cool, I thought. Um, at least when I downloaded it, I thought it was cool. Animation. Let's go to items because this I downloaded from Actor Core. By the way, I'll quickly go into Actor Core and I'll show you where I downloaded this from. So Actor Core is amazing. I mean, it's a really good place to marketplace to find individual motions, individual characters. You know, if you don't want to buy a whole pack, you can like pick and choose stuff in Actor Core really easily. So under motion, I think it's is aerobic. Okay, and this one's for free, by the way. Okay, so aerobic dance over here. You can see, just look up aerobic right here. I can click on it; it'll preview the motion for you, and this is the motion it's going to give our character. All right. I just watched a movie called The Substance right before doing this demo here, and I thought it was really cool. So I thought aerobics, let's do that. Although this isn't nearly as creepy if you guys have seen that movie already. But anyways, we'll go to items, animation, and we will search under aerobic and find this aerobic dance. All right, so I'll apply this motion to her, right? And her tail will bounce. You can see it's not bad. I mean, it's not terrible for a what, a 2 minute, 3 minutes creation of a tail and automatic weight bone assignments. Um, yeah, okay, so that's it. That's the animation we're gonna have this character do. And for facial animation, again, like back and forth into Blender, you can just go ahead and do facial animation, like face key, for example. I like to use these expression templates. Happy, happy, kind of happy, smirky happy, whatever happy. Okay, and then of course you can use the individual muscles. If you want to, I like taking those and kind of twisting it to the side like this because you can create smirks on both sides. All right, so whatever, whatever expression you want. And again, this is just a single expression, so we don't want her to have that expression the whole time. So what I always try to promote, once I'll get it back to neutral face here, default. One thing I always try to promote is I like this. It's probably one of the most useful packs I've ever not purchased, but it's, because I'm with Reillusion, but Digital Soul, it's called. So under animation, if I search for digital, it should pop up, or soul is probably a better one to search for. Again, this pack it's fairly inexpensive, and it just contains a whole bunch of just casual, realistic expressions that you can just put on a character's face, and they last for like 10, 15 seconds or whatever. Just basically, it's so easy to apply these for people who just want really quick facial expressions. Um, which one can I use for this character? Not yawning, I don't think. Um, let's see. Which one did I use before? Confident smile. All right, you can do something like that. And then if we see her face, I know it looks a little bit creepy on her maybe, but at least she's smiling. And then we can, do another one. Let's press F3 and go into our timeline and see how long this is lasting. Let's load up her. So expression is where they apply the expression track, by the way. So it only lasts for about 140 frames. Okay, I lied when I said 10 seconds. We can say comfortable, and now she feels comfortable, and then we can blend them together as well. So I don't know. Again, this is the easiest way to apply quick motions. uh, Not frightened. Anyways, I'm spending too much time on this, but because there's so many to choose from, right? I mean, talk cute. Maybe she's talking cute, like she's saying, like, okay, now 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So you can see here, she's kind of just like opening her mouth as she's doing the exercise. All right, cool. We'll work with that. We can just expand this, whatever, till it goes almost the end. And at the end, her face expression. Oh, she's still talking. Oh, the talk. Okay, I got the aerobic dance on the top. I got my tracks mixed up. Sorry, guys. Yeah. let's just get this one out of the way. You know what? We can just use talk cute. Oh, they're both the same length. There we go. All right. So she's like, all right, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So we have our, finally, we have our character's motion applied. Apologies for the getting a little bit too into it on that. Okay. So now the goal is we want to basically bring the character in with an entire scene into Blender. Okay. So let's just quickly assemble a scene. A scene assemble. And there's one called Light Studio, which I think will this is a pack, Light Studio. I'm not sure if this is a paid pack. I'm not sure if it's included, but apologies for that. But it has a whole bunch of cool stuff like this backdrop. Okay. And since she has a long tail, we're probably gonna bring this back. So we have about 8 minutes to do the rest of this thing. So I'm just gonna throw this stuff together. And image plane, we'll throw this in the back. I'm just going to scale that up a little bit. A little bit. Oh, we need a floor too. Wood floor, that'll be fine. Okay. And here you basically want to have a camera view, accurate camera view. So the camera view I intend to have is, starting from here and maybe kind of like this angle here. Let's actually create a camera at that angle to start off. Okay, and then the camera angle, I'm going to preview, is going to go from here to like something like, oops. I'll go from here to something like this, and zoom in on her face as she does that kind of like, thing like this. All right. That's the plan, Stan. All right, so we got a background, we got a camera, we got a floor, lights. Okay, so we need to get some lights in there. Scene, I'll just delete the current lights in the scene. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so now we have no lights except for our IBL, which is in visual. And down here, so that's basically like your ambient sort of lighting, IBL. Of course, you can naturally change your IBL to whatever you want. I think this kind of looks like a brick factory. Did I click brick factory? Hope that's not a brick factory. Derelict warehouse sounds more accurate for where we're at right now. Right, so there you go. Something like that would be all right. And again, this is going to go over into Blender as well. The IBL transfers over to an HDR image in Blender for the background. And then let's create some lights. Let's create a couple spotlights. How's that sound? And let's have these lights way up here. Oops. Something like this. Okay, creating a lighting scene from scratch is not the easiest thing in the world, so bear with me. Let's just go ahead. You can have a light look at the character, which is easier. Pick target, pick the character, boom. And then we can go up here and multiply it. Right? Cool. Actually looks kind of nice first time around. And what you can do with lighting is when you have a like multiple lights looking at the same character, I like to hold control and click and drag the same light, and it creates another one that's also looking at the character. Maybe this one we can change it to like purple or something. I don't know. Okay. This one we can change to what's the complementary color of purple? Yellowish. Right. There we go. Bam, look at that. Two lights with our character. All right, cool. So we have our character in the scene and we have our camera set up, we have our background set up. Is there anything else I need to do? Let me think. No, I think we'll go with that. So let's go ahead and open Blender again. And then we will bring the project in. Let's go A and delete again. And we got about 5 minutes to do some Rigify stuff. Okay, so again, let's link everything. So iClone also has the same plugin, the Blender pipeline data link. Dock over here, start your server. Start your servers. And link here, connect that. All right, we're all linked, right? Cool, very easy. Again, this is all about efficient workflow, to be honest. Okay, then what you want to do is go into your scene. Anything we want to bring over, Now you can bring in multiple characters at the same time if you want, and I might have time to do that later, but I'm going to focus on this one character right now. So if we had like multiple characters in the same scene, we could all bring them all over at the same time, and they would come over just as easily. So I'm going to bring over my everything. Okay, so shift select everything here, and you'll see this changes from like send avatar. It's context sensitive, so it'll change to send all. And since we have it linked, just click on send all. Okay, so we're going to send our two lights over. We're going to send the image plane, the backdrop, the wood floor there, everything over into Blender, and it'll be really cool. I'll just take a second here, and then we can rigify it. I'll show you how to update the motion first in iClone, because I find motion editing in iClone to be a bit easier, to be honest, than Blender, but to each their own, obviously. I'll show you how to do it in Blender anyways later, but I think we'll have time for that. That'll be what we want to make time for, is the motion editing. Okay, so in Blender, when it opens, you'll see things gradually pop in there. Okay, so there's our backdrop. There's everything, and yeah, it's all good to go. Okay, so let's change this to shader mode here. And now you can see here we have what the Sam here. Okay, so yeah, everything's loaded in here. And again, what we want to do is the character selected. Now it'll be like she'll have this animation. Let's make sure we get the armature out of the way there. Okay. And yeah, everything's all good. Now it brought the lights in, but what we need to do is we actually need to sync the lights first. So right now we have nothing really set up in terms of lighting. But there's an option in iClone right here to click on sync lights. Okay. So synchronizing lights. Boom. And then you can see the lights are totally different. And now we have this lighting item up here in our scene collection, and that contains both of our spotlights. Okay. The floor shadow doesn't even really need to be there, but spotlights, you'll have the spotlights here. And obviously it's a little bit darker in Blender than it is in iClone. Okay. The shading is a bit different. There's all sorts of different stuff when it comes to lighting in Blender and iClone. But anyways, what you can do in with your lighting selected in iClone, which one is it here? I always forget. Not constraints, it's data. Yeah. So this is our spotlight on the left. That's the one that's kind of a weird color. We can increase that power. Let's increase to like 2000. Boom. All right, there we go. It's a lot brighter now. That's the yellow one that I thought was going to be kind of a complementary color. And there's our other spotlight that when we copied, we can change this one to like 3000. All right, boom. That's a little harsh. Let's do 2000 and 1000 maybe. Okay, but again, you can just modify all the light values here really easily. You can also modify them in the data link just by here, like light brightness. You can do it manually like this as well. Okay, but it's very limited. Obviously, you want to do stuff like the color and radius and all that stuff as well. So refine your values in Blender is probably the best way to do it. Let's try 1000 here. That's still way too harsh. This one should be 500. All right, we're going to work with that. And then again, if that doesn't work for you, there's always the create menu under scene tools. You can select any of these as well. So that's fine. All right, so here we got the scene, blah, 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 blah. She's like, yeah. Everyone work those abs, whatever. Let's change our end here to how many frames do we have in iClone? 860-ish. All right, and then we can see the whole thing. All right, so the end is the part where I want to modify an iClone and update the motion. Okay, so here she's like this, and then she points to the scene like this. Yeah. She's like, I want you for US Army. Anyways, okay, so now we want to modify this in iClone. So the way to do that is over in iClone. Again, it's very easy. iClone is like the bread and butter, or my bread and butter. So select our character. Let's go over to modify, make sure the character is selected. And we'll do edit motion layer. We can also give her a different smile too if we want. Let's get rid of this stuff. And let's change her from pointing. So we're going to go to about here, and we're going to set a key for the whole body because I'm lazy. All right. And then we're going to go to here like this. And do we want her pointing at us? No, maybe we want her doing like a peace sign. Okay. So the easy way to do peace signs, we'll set another key here, by the way, for the body and everything, is to go to content manager. And there's literally a category called gestures under animation, which you'll find here. And here you can just throw in a bunch of different gestures for the character, like the peace sign, which is, where is it here? One hand, two hand. This looks like a peace sign to me. Okay, boom. Now we have the peace sign right there. Okay, instead of the regular sign. So pointing sign, whatever it was. And there's a track for that as well. So you'll find the motion track, the expression track here. Under the motion track, right here, you'll find gesture. Okay, so there's the gesture keyframe. You know, lazy stuff that I'm doing right now. But so we'll go to that frame right here. We already have this frame in the motion layer. So this one we'll use the motion layer to, sorry if this guy's going too fast for you guys here. I'm just trying to like really get this stuff done really fast. So let's change her peace sign. There you go. So now she's like, boom. She's like, at first she's like one finger and then she's like two fingers. All right. So then we ended up with that. Okay. And then maybe at the same time, we want to go into face key and we want to basically just, I don't know. The way I keyframes in face key is just to like, you know, quickly do something like that. Get a lot of keyframe really quickly for us under expressions. Oops. Okay, so a lot of keyframe right there. And then we can, she's doing that. Let's make her smile a bit more. So expression. That's a little too exaggerated. We can tone down the expressiveness on that. Oh yeah, it looks good. All right, so now, oh, we forgot to add a default keyframe before that. Okay, there we go. Now she's back to normal. Okay, so let's go ahead and add a expression keyframe. Key all expressions when you want to do. Okay, and maybe we'll just do something like this one. And then here, we'll make her happier. That one looks a bit weird. Okay, I'm going to work with that. All right, boom. All right, and okay. So you see, you know, see that in Blender it's still like this, right? But if we want to update it in Blender, all we got to do is go over to iClone, the Blender data link, and with the character selected, obviously. Do we link it? Yeah, we're linked. Oh, it's synchronizing lights. There we go. You just have to reselect it, and then just go ahead and select send motion. All right. And when you select send motion, it'll update that motion to your character. And you're good to go. And then before I go to Q&A, we'll do a little bit of Rigify stuff. I don't think I'll have time to do camera work. Rendering is very easy in Blender. It's just click and render. Camera movement is also very easy. So, all right. So there's our update. Okay, cool. All right. So we got what we need. And yeah, let's move on to Rigify then. All right. So we really don't need iClone anymore. Well, we might get to the camera stuff later. So, all right. With our character selected, basically select Rigify in the data link right here. So this literally is so awesome. It just like, you just click on Rigify, bam, it Rigifies your character. It's all set up with the entire Rigify set, whatever it's called. And you just can modify your motion Rigify even further. And if you're familiar with, not familiar with Rigify, you can do things like stretch the mesh. You can't really do an iClone at this point, but like stretching, you know, to make like a stretch and squash kind of cartoonish type animation. Awesome. Rigify is awesome for that. Just takes a couple of seconds to get ready. And I'll take a look at the chat here. Oh, goodbye, John. Someone has to leave. Yeah, this rig will be ready in 2 seconds here. All right, cool. So there's the Rigify. Bam, you're all done. All right. Let's bring up our um, timeline a little bit. Let's go into pose mode. So pose mode, obviously, you need to be in pose mode to adjust your stuff. So, okay. So at this point here, I don't know. Let's just go ahead to our, oops, uh, dope sheet here. The character selected. I don't know. Action editor and the pose, and then for action editor, just make sure you're on the correct motion. Okay, so this is the Rigify one. Okay, um, and then what do we want to change here? I don't know. Here maybe while she's doing her final pose, let's push that down, and let's do something like I don't know, this control here. I'll press G, by the way, to grab. And see, she can go back and forth. Let's just do something like that. Um, here, and then press I to add your key. Oh, we're on the correct one. Oh, dang it. I'm not sure why it's not adding that in. Oh, so I made a new action. Oh yeah, I got to make a new action, right? And then there we go. Uh, uh, why are you not working? I know that I'm going through the wrong thing. This is exactly why, but I mean, in Blender, you can stretch things out like that, which is really cool. But if we make like this, for example, um, we should be able to add keyframes there for make sure we have the right action selected. Yeah, but all right. Anyways, I'm not going to bother with the action editor. I'm just going to delete the gosh darn keyframes. Let's just manually delete the keyframes here because it's all baked in anyways, right? So, all right. Um, yeah, about this point here. And then here, let's now we can add that keyframe. I was probably doing something in the wrong order, but again, I'm trying to really quickly do this. So maybe at this keyframe here, we want to, I don't know, select this and grab it over here. And then here we want to have it more rotated like this. So a bit more to the side. And I is, of course, insert keyframe, by the way. So now we have this. So she's leaning more to the side like that. Then she goes back. Always delete that one. Okay. This looks kind of cute. She's like leaning over so she can see us. And maybe at the same keyframe, we can do where she's looking more at the camera. I'm coming down with a cold here. That's no excuse for my poor Blender animation skills. Uh, this one here. Again, it doesn't really matter if you delete these frames because they're already baked into the animation. So, okay. And at this frame, what we'll do is we'll move it over here. So she's looking at us. Bam. And then insert a keyframe. All right, there we go. All right, so we made her lean over a little bit and we have her eyes adjusted to focus on us. All right, guys, that's all I'm going to go through. I mean, you can also really, you can also sync the cameras as well. There's camera animation stuff you can do, but I'm not going to go into the camera stuff right now. If you want me to do it, I can do it during the Q&A. But yeah, I think that's pretty much. I just kind of want to show you guys the workflow of everything. I mean, you can always do other things as well. Like if you wanted to add to the scene, say for example, you severed the link from iClone, for example, we stopped the link from iClone. Um, one more thing I want to show you really quick here is to bring in like stuff after the fact. So after you've severed the link and you want to bring in more stuff. Um, say for example, we have some characters in the background talking or something. Let's just throw in a couple of characters. And I'm going to show you how to bring them in as a single FBX. This is, I swear to God, this is the last thing I'm going to show you. Okay, so let's say, for example, we have for some reason, we have these business people looking at our character and smirking, whatever, She's like, she looks so cartoony. What is she doing with that cartoon look? So we'll have these two characters here. We'll go over to animation, and we're going to use an actor group animation. If you're not familiar with actor group, it's pretty cool. Allows you to do some really cool stuff. Really quickly apply animation to background characters, which is what I'm using for here. Right. So this dude will give him this. I think I have female motions. I guess they're both males. So okay, this guy's on the left side. You can see the highlighted one right here in white. Okay. This guy's the highlighted one on the left. And we have to kind of rotate them a little bit. This guy's okay. Um, so we can actually see them. Sorry for that, guys. So this is what they're going to be doing while she's talking. They're like, "Oh yes, yeah, today's the report for today was really good, Johnson." Blah blah blah. She's like dancing in the background. Okay. So what we can do now is we can actually select both these dudes right here. And how long do they talk for? Looks like about 900 frames. So just go like this. And with both of them selected, you can just go up to File, Export, and Export FBX. Make sure you have Blender as your target tool preset, range 0 to 900, whatever, and export. And then we'll call this Dudes Talking. Okay, that'll be a desktop test. Okay, so make sure, of course, you have the target tools preset set to Blender. And they're going to be in the same world position, by the way, since I exported them from relative to the stuff we already exported. They're going to import into Blender at the exact same position. So in Blender, then we don't have any cameras created, but we can just go over here to CC link, and we can go ahead and import animations, import characters. Generally, you want to just go ahead and import the FBX. Generally, I find that works. Or the test, it was like dudes talking, right? Okay, so this will import in our dudes, hopefully. There you go. There they are. They're in the shadows, but they're animated. All right, so that's how easy it is to get things back and forth. Oh, by the way, if you imported the characters, you'll notice they're a bit shiny. All right, so if you use that method, they are a bit shiny. So you have to tweak the materials to be less roughness. Let's delete that then, and let's try and do the import character because I think this works as well. If you import using the auto setup tool, they import in a lot better. And this should be fine. I think it'll be fine. All right, yeah, there you go. Okay, so now they're not so shiny, right? You can see now his materials aren't so shiny. I'm not sure if you guys noticed. I probably should have put some more light on it. But if you use the conventional import method from the file menu, they come in a little bit shiny. And you have to adjust the roughness at this point. I'm not sure why that is, but yeah. So here you go. This would be like, we'd have an animation like this where maybe the CEOs are talking about how are we going to make money off this dancer, like this. And then anyways, you can make up your own scenario, but yeah, let's go back to the timeline and frame one. And then here we go. It'll look like this. Let's get these overlays out of here. All right, there we go. Oh, let's make sure we're at frame one. Oh yeah, it's just going really slow because we're doing in different shading mode. All right, so slow motion. But you can see the tail bounce, the spring bones still came in. These guys are talking. That's way too slow for my comfort. Here you go. All right. And that's how you do it. That's the workflow. All right. All right. Thanks for bearing with me, guys. Yeah, I think we're good to go. So let's go to Q&A now. If you have any questions, put those questions in the Q&A panel, and we'll get to that stuff right now. So yeah, here we go. I'm going to open up Q&A. Where is my Q&A? Oh, there we go. All right, I'm going to put it over here so I can see it. Okay, first question from Anonymous. Of course, it's about weight painting. Uh, will there be tutorials that will cover fixing weight paint issues that can occur on the body of custom-made characters using Accurig in Character Creator? We have a tutorial that it's like a coyote character on that tutorial where it talks about how to do manual painting in Character Creator. So the same thing I showed you in Blender with the weight painting, you can actually do that in Character Creator as well. It's slightly different. I'm not sure which is better or not because I hate weight painting, as you can tell from this webinar. But yeah, I think that we can probably put another one out. That would be an interesting one because I think that a lot of people are interested in that, and it's not the easiest process, but don't ask me to do that. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, we'll put one out, probably. I guarantee we will, because it's a very highly demanded topic. Okay, Rodrigo asks, improving render FPS in Blender from iClone. Even exporting a single character with a simple animation runs very slow in Blender. There's a couple of things that could be the cause of that. Generally, when I export from Blender, I don't export with in-video files. I export in image sequences. I recommend to anyone to export with image sequences instead. If you're exporting to Blender and you're playing back in real time in Blender, just because the shaders are different, your playback speed is going to be different as well because it's processing a lot more information. I'm not sure specifically what you need there, Rodrigo, because if you when you render it in rendering, it's going to play at the same speed, same frames per second. So maybe you can elaborate on that if you need more detail than that. Question from Anonymous again. So many Anonymous. Will there be tutorials that cover the workflow of creating custom-made characters in Blender using sculpt tools and other tools, then importing the character into Character Creator, rigging with Accurig, rigify in Blender? Oh man, Anonymous, ask and you shall receive. I think we have like a whole bunch of tutorials on that, to be honest. And I'll show you exactly where they are if you guys aren't familiar with it. The main site, go to learn, go to free online tutorials. In this case, go to iClone probably. And under pipelines, plugins, and render, you'll find under Blender, you see the new ones. I just told you they were launched last week and this week, I believe, or last week mostly. So the ones that you want to check out, a lot of the stuff I covered is here in getting started with Blender Data Link. Some of the stuff, transferring the scene, that's what I did in iClone just now, although the scene is a lot nicer. Body and facial animation. So all this stuff here, check out these guys. I'm going to throw this in the chat window for you guys. Yeah, and someone mentioned, Kieran mentioned in the chat, there's a lot of Blender iClone pipeline stuff from other users as well. Honestly, we have like a great community of users. There's some really good tutorials, video tutorials out there. I can't think of the ones that I want to recommend right now. I don't want to go searching on YouTube, but honestly, just search like Blender iClone or Blender Character Creator on YouTube. And there's so many good tutorials out there, probably better than mine, more comprehensive, and probably slower moving as well. So you get more detail out of them. But yeah, I think that highly recommend, like Kieran said, just do a quick Google or a quick search in YouTube, and you'll find some really cool stuff with all sorts of different scenarios. And different scenarios are the best place to learn. So, whoops, I'll just close that down. Thank you, GE. I think I'm an okay teacher. Okay, Chaz mentions here, please share the data link install tutorial. Okay, I literally just had it here. Getting started with Blender data link. Okay, this is the one that will get you started on installing. Shabadoo. All right. Gail T has a good question here. Looks like you used data link version 2.19, not 2.111, the newest version. Do you know the difference between the versions? Okay, so products. Where do I get to this again? Character creator, overview, pipeline add-ons, free resources, pipeline, Blender. There we go. Blender auto setup. Is data link here? I think data link might be under iClone. Let me just check here. I know I know it's hard to find stuff on a website sometimes. Featured add-ons, Blender character animation, auto setup tool for Blender. All right. Anyways, auto setup for Blender. Um, you'll find a lot of, oh, here's data link right here in live sync. You'll find all the information you really want here. And this is where you'll see free download up here because everything's free, obviously. This is why it's freaking awesome. I'll throw this link in the chat for you guys. Free is always the best, am I right? So Gail, I'm not sure about the versions. I didn't check what versions I'm using. I'm not sure if I imported or got the latest version here. CCIC tools. So I'm using 2.1.10. So I think that I'm not sure if there's 2.10 1.11, but anyways, that's where you update. Make sure you're always updated. And sometimes, honestly, 99.9% of the time people email me, they say like, "Oh yeah, like this isn't working for me, blah 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 blah." There's, error. Honestly, like 99.9% of the time, it's just harmonizing your versions between iClone or Character Creator and Blender. So just make sure you're updated on everything, and generally it's going to work after that. So, okay, anonymous attendee asks, are there automatic retopology tools in Character Creator that can simplify a high poly character's topology? If not, then it may be useful. Yeah, there definitely is. I can maybe even show you that really quickly. We have decimation tools, auto LOD in Character Creator. So we have that technology. We have the technology. We can decimate him. $1 million man, $6 million man. Anyways, yeah, you can do that really quick in Character Creator. It takes a few minutes, but generally you just have to do a couple clicks and it should work just fine. When that comes up, I'll show you how to decimate a character. College, what the heck? Anyways, yeah, I'll go on to the next question while waiting for this to load up so we don't waste time here. Oh, okay, there it is. Let's see, I don't know. Wendy, you're the first one. Oh, that's her clothing, not her. Actor, there we go. So Wendy will come in and I'll show you a couple ways you can decimate her. It doesn't sound, oh, sorry, not auto LOD, insta LOD, my apologies. Insta LOD, you can see it up here on the toolbar, by the way. So when the character comes in, you can just use that to decimate the character. So right now, the triangles on the character, it's 84,000. It's really small already. But if you're going to use Wendy, like thousands of Wendy's in the background, oh, there we go. Awesome. We get like a freaking watermark there. Okay, so she's going to load in. We can close iClone. Should we? I don't know. I might need to demonstrate it later, but okay, but then there's Insta LOD. So to find the type of character you have, by the way, go to your modify panel under attributes. You'll see C3 plus character. Here you can convert to game base. Okay, so these are the ones, I think it was Anonymous who asked me this. You can convert to game base, which is a lower poly character with like less facial expressions. You can optimize and decimate. You can use both these options right here. Okay, and up here is Insta LOD. So you can do this way as well. Reduce the polygons for wearables, which are the accessories. The remesher, merge materials, just basically merges all your materials into one. The remesher can give you a retopology option. So you basically got everything right there. All right, hopefully that answers your question. Next one from Len Walton. Hey, Len, can you separate individual morphs into specific body parts? solely for ears, nose, lips, for example. No, there's only one for the head. Uh, I'm pretty sure it's only for head and body. I think there's no, sorry, there are for eyes as well. Yeah. So when you I don't have time to do it right now, but when you follow the process that I showed you earlier at the very beginning, if you follow that process, you remember I pulled down the drop down menu, and there's head, there's body, there's eyeballs, there's teeth. Okay, so there's separate sliders for all the main meshes. So the meshes that you'll find under scene are like these ones right here. So like there'll be one for the tongue, for the body, for the eyes. There'll be meshes. There'll be options for all of these ones separately. Okay, so every separate mesh that's part of the character. All right, so William Hicks asks, do the edited morphs exist in future project files, or is an individual operation for each file? The edited morphs exist in all future project files. So when you create a morph, that morph is saved to your character creator. It's not going to be on a project by project basis. It'll be saved in character creator. So you don't have to worry about, so you can use it on any other characters in the future, right? That's the reason for that. So hopefully I answered your question. It's not saved as on a project basis. Dwi Handoyo Putro asks, is it possible to make characters like using pencil grease in CC4? No, we don't have that option yet, but we're working on it. So, Dale Smith, are the scene assets and objects that would be in the Blender scene independent of the character synced via the data link? So you're asking if the props and assets in the scene are independent of the character? Yes, they are. Absolutely. Yeah. It's whatever you have selected. And by the way, if you want to send things from Blender back to character creator, for example, this wood floor, for example, you have to click it. And what do you have to click again? Dang it. There's one to assign it as an accessory. I think it's mark as asset. Oh, I did this tutorial. I've never used this myself since I did the tutorial, but anything that you want to send back to iClone, you have to define it as an accessory, and I can't remember where that is. But gosh, sorry about that, guys. Oh, export accessory right here. Okay, so yeah, export the object to CC as an accessory. Once you do that, then you can import it and export it back in. All right. Yeah, but honestly, if something doesn't work with data link, I mean, data link is honestly, it's just like the icing on top of the cake. Like auto setup itself is freaking cool. Like, I mean, you could just, like I showed you before, I exported these two guys as a single FBX, complete with clothing and animation and stuff, and just imported them back in, like within 30 seconds. So if one method doesn't seem to work for you, just use that auto setup workflow I showed you earlier. Okay, Andrew Walsh, I need a character of a 12-year-old lad for a project. Would it be feasible to just buy a Relusion adult male and take it into Blender and change the proportions? Andrew, we have tons of like child characters on our content store, actor core. Honestly, just search for like child or kid on like actor core, probably. You'll find tons of stuff. Like uh you don't really need to take an adult character and convert it to a child character. You can do that, but it's going to take longer. And I mean, what's the character's going to be like a few bucks or whatever, or for a child like actor core character. Excuse me. Okay, Kieran has a long question here. If we can't use a multi-res modifier or increase the poly count in Blender once we use data link, what if the CC4 character has a larger poly count to begin with? That's fine. Yeah. For example, when you use the smooth mesh function to add subdivision to the character, that's totally fine. Yep. We will have a large poly count in Blender. Yes, the poly count will always remain the same. Okay. Um, so as long as it stays the same, then you're good to go. Just don't change it and expect to have it. I mean, you can change the poly count. You can do whatever you want to change it, but just don't expect to use data link to bring it back. You have to use the auto setup workflow to bring it back, just so you're aware. And if it has any additional bones on it, it's not going to recognize it. So Yeah, you'll have to use the auto setup workflow. But again, the auto setup workflow, like I said, it takes like 30 seconds more basically, and you're good to go. Hopefully that answers the question. But good question, Kieran. I think that's what a lot of people want to know. Question from Rodrigo. When I import the CC4 to Blender, there's always a cube object. It comes with the character. CC4 to Blender includes a cube object. I hope you're not talking about the default Blender cube. But if it's not, then I'm not sure why there's a cube coming in. You may have had some sort of dummy in your scene that is not showing up visually. So check your scene manager. That's all I can say, Rodrigo. There's a number of troubleshooting things you can do for that, but I'd have to take a personal look at your project to get a better idea. Anonymous attendee asks, what laptops could be used that will be effective for faster performance, rendering quality, et cetera, et cetera? Pretty much get asked this question almost every webinar. When it comes to stuff like this, Blender, iClone, any sort of 3D software, CG software, generally your main concern is going to be your video card. We work with NVIDIA architecture for the most part. So if you're going to be using iClone, you're going to be in a good position if you're using an NVIDIA card. Honestly, this computer I have right now, it's old. It's like 4 years old now. I haven't updated it at all. It's got like a 3070 RTX. I have better computers, but this is the one that is convenient for me to use. And you can see that even with like a 4-year-old video card, this whole workflow worked just fine. I think 32 gigs of RAM, which not isn't really important, but yeah, your video card is going to be the most important. So, yeah. Frederick Moran asks, can we update/modify a character in Blender from iClone CC4 to Blender at any other time? Yes, you can. Honestly, if the naming is the same, the naming of everything is the same, don't change the naming. You should be just fine to relink it back again. So you can load up the projects again and relink them, and you shouldn't have to worry. All right, Jeff Scott asks, if I take a character to Blender and then create an accessory from scratch, then import that accessory to CC4, I have to resize it and align it with the character. What's the best way to reduce that additional work? Jeff, you shouldn't have to do that. I made a tutorial just recently with a blue ogre. So if you look at the tutorials I showed you earlier, there's one with like a blue ogre type character, orc type character, whatever you want to call it. And when you see that, there's one that's labeled with accessories. I'll just find that really quickly because it should be easy to find. The Sam, yeah. I gotta go Learning Center again. So this one will be in Character Creator. Again, the new Blender pipeline stuff, which is why we're doing this webinar. So the create custom hair and accessories. This should resolve your issue there, Jeff. I'll throw this link in the chat for you there. Again, this one's using the auto setup workflow. So with the accessories and stuff like that, yeah, you want to use that workflow. That should help you out there. All right, next question from Len. I've used Data Link in the past and found that sync camera didn't work for me. Does it work for this version now? I will be honest. In my opinion, I'm quite frank. I think the camera syncing, I didn't get a chance to show it, but the camera syncing could use a little bit of work because there's a little bit of discrepancy. And to me, it seems to come randomly between like the focal lengths of your camera and Blender and iClone. It generally works pretty well, but there's been weird occasions where I've just had issues with the camera syncing over and stuff. But yeah, good question, Lynn. I think that's always keep updated to the latest version. I don't know what else to tell you. Some bugs appear and some bugs disappear. That's all I can say. All right. Anonymous asks, is the data link tool effective for custom made characters that were made in Blender, ZBrush, and import it to character creator using Accurate. Yes, absolutely. That's honestly one of the best workflows. And I highly recommend anyone who's, kind of curious about the workflow or their potential to bring their character from ZBrush or Blender into Character Creator and rig it if it's not rigged yet. Honestly, just check out AccuRig. It's free from a website. You can like just Google AccuRig, literally. For those of you who aren't familiar with the spelling, Actor Core AccuRig, completely free. Guys, check this one out. It's going to have a lot of nonsense in the URL, but yeah, there you go. Gail asks, what does sequence frame sync do? I have used it on and off and haven't noticed a difference. I'm with you there, Gail. I haven't, I don't have a refined eye like some people do, and I couldn't really tell you that because I experimented with it. I was like, doesn't seem to do anything, so I moved on. So I can't really tell you. I mean, the latest updates on Data Link are things that I haven't really had a whole lot of time to explore. Yet here I am, demoing them. But yeah, there's some things that I also need some more time to explore myself as well. So, Gordon Ridquist, will you cover transfer of scenes from iClone? Yes. So the speed trees, they work okay. They don't. I mean, speed trees are speed trees. They're used for generally for game stuff, but it transfers over no problem. Just don't expect like million poly quality like you're getting in CG productions, for example. Okay, got some more questions here. We got let's go for another 15 minutes or so, maybe 10 minutes. Seems we've got a lot of questions. Anonymous attendee asks, when going round trip between different apps, are copies of the original files created? For example, when you updated the skin texture to remove the eyebrows, does that overwrite the skin textures downloaded from the store? Um, so how did I remove the eyebrows again? Oh, I just basically undid everything. So okay, so say for example, hypothetically, I did spend the time to, you know, blend over those eyebrows and normal maps and all that stuff like that. When you save it, it's going to save an iClone, and it's not going to transfer over until you literally click update. So unless you click save, um, it's not going to save it. So just be aware of that. Hopefully that answers the question. Might have not been really clear on that, but feel free to elaborate if you need more information. Jose Orozco asks, this may work with any mesh from Blender later to CC4, or is it necessary topology first in the object? So, Jose, so data link, the one that I demoed today, I demoed two kind of workflows. At the very end, I demoed the auto setup workflow with the two guys. But the data link workflow, it's restrictive in the way that you have to have meshes that conform to the Reallusion standards. Okay, so you can't add additional topology, you can't remove topology, you can't add bones or remove bones. Those are the restrictions. So if they have different topology or different bone structure from your standard Reallusion characters like CC3 plus characters or whatever, it's not going to work with data link. You'll have to use auto setup. But like again, I said 30 seconds, a minute difference. So deleting stuff, bringing it back in, deleting stuff, bringing it back in. Data link allows you to do that in real time. But yeah, you can't have your cake and eat it too, I guess, right? At least not yet. Anonymous asks, how to make the spring bone connected to each other instead of going off from the main bones. Again, like I showed you a really quick and dirty version of weighting bones with the automatic weighting. Um, Spring bones, like I mentioned, it's like physics, to be honest. I hate both of them. It takes a lot of trial and error to get the perfect result you want. So spring bones, you just like tweak the spring values, make the bones smaller, make the mesh more like larger. Just like does all the weighting stuff, and it takes forever. But yeah, and physics is the same thing. So I can't really answer that question without a specific scenario. Rodney Cooper asks, the goal is to make a custom superhero outfits in the realm of DC and Marvel. I want to make my own fan-made game eventually. Um, how do I make my own outfits that I can use in a fighting game? So Rodney, if you're making outfits, character creator is not your best option. If you're making outfits like clothing specifically, you'll want to use something like Marvelous Designer. All right, so character creator is definitely not for creating clothing by any stretch of the imagination. It's not the focus for sure. Clo 3D, Marvelous Designer. Those are two ones that I can recommend for you. You can make outfits in Blender as well. Um, Blender's not obviously specifically made for that, but yeah, you can do. Those are the three ones I recommend. Hopefully that helps you. And if anyone has any additional comments, they can put them in the chat. Thanks, everyone. Goodbye to Jeremy. Lucas Oliveira asks, I'm a Blender artist for 15 years, and recently the Blender Godot pipeline is getting popular on demand. Is Realusion releasing a Godot pipeline or something like that? Ooh. I haven't heard anything about it, but Lucas, in your feedback form, when you get the feedback email from us, put some feedback in there for that pipeline because I think there's a good potential for that. I mean, if enough people request it from us, we're probably going to make it. So we try to position ourselves as a pipeline tool that's bridges the gap between a lot of different programs out there. So if there's a high demand for a certain workflow, we're going to release a plugin for it. So, right, good question, Lucas. Though, thanks for that. Anuj asks, can we create humanoid animal characters in Character Creator 4 and rig their faces for animation? If yes, what are the best practices to achieve natural expression while maintaining the animal's feature? Man, I get this question like all the time. Obviously, people want quadruped stuff. They want animal characters. There's so many different like options for that, Anuj, to be honest. Rigging the faces, obviously, there's two options for facial expressions. There's blend shapes or morph targets, whatever you want to call them. And there's bones. So these two different methods, I mean, they can go in combination, but one thing I always recommend if you want the highest compatibility with Relusion facial animation tools, whatever you do, just use the template characters like I showed before, the original base character that I used, because they come loaded with blend shapes on the face. Use that character, export it to Blender, whatever ZBrush, whatever modeling software you use, and use those as a base, and then attach it to like your animal character or whatever. All right. As long as they have the same set of like facial expressions, facial profile, we call it, you can use the iClone's facial motion tools, no problem. So I always recommend people just start out with our base characters for the highest level of compatibility. Start it with our base characters and then move it into your software and then bring it back in for the animation. And question two is, would it be possible to host a dedicated webinar on advanced facial rigging techniques in Character Creator 4? Yeah. News, like I just mentioned to Lucas, if you guys have any demand or any requests in terms of a webinar topic, we're more than happy to accommodate those requests. If we have enough people that, request this certain webinar, we're definitely going to do it, like I mentioned. So if enough people request advanced facial rigging, it might be a bit dry of a webinar, but yeah, it'd be fun, and we'd be more than happy to do that for you guys. Emmy asks, is it possible to bring in a custom character, something you designed in Mesh AI or wrote in, rig it in AccuRig, and then use it in iClone? Absolutely. Emmy, if you can't apply the motions in iClone, then you do not have an AccuRig compatible character. AccuRig will basically just not superimpose, but integrate our Realusion rig into your character's mesh. And it should work flawlessly. I'm not sure why it wouldn't. If you're using a rig that already exists, you have to map that bone rig. So maybe you did some incorrect bone mapping. There has to be like a green light when you when you finish. It's called the characterization process, where you're mapping the bones There has to be a green light before you can actually be compatible with Reillusion software, with Reillusion motions. So, cool. Um, how do I import assets from Megascans to iClone? FBX file, OBJ file. You can bring them into iClone. They should just import automatically. There may or may not be some material things that you have to fix, but yeah, you should be okay. Damien asks, it would be nice to see an auto rig pro button within iClone like the one we have for Rigify in the Blender auto setup. Any plans for that? Auto rig pro button. Uh, yeah, I mean, that would be nice. I understand what you're getting at there, Damien. And that's not really up to me, but yeah, it's a wishful feature for sure. And again, we seriously listen to all of our users' feedback. We really appreciate your guys' feedback. I mean, it keeps us alive and basically making people's work making people's workflow, their lives easier. So yeah, put that in a feedback form or in our wishful features in our forum, and you might be surprised it might come up someday. Um, okay, Michael asks, you posted several links in the Zoom webinar. They will disappear when the Zoom meeting ends. Is there somewhere else we can find these links? Unfortunately not, Michael. You just have to copy and paste them in a notepad file or something like that. Um, I'm not sure if you're a attendee. I know you can if you're a host, you can um, have a file that has all the chat that I put down. There's a file, I'm pretty sure, for the host, but I'm not sure if you're just a regular attendee, there's a file that you can refer to after the recording that goes through all the chat history. So, but for now, just put it in like a notepad file and just save it somewhere. That'd be my, just in case, my recommendation. That's what I would do. Okay, so Daniel Husbands asks, can you use this process to add morphs to assets you've purchased and want to customize? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Purchase them from, um, the content store, marketplace, whatever. You can send them back into Blender, modify them, and send them back and forth. No worries. Anonymous attendee asks, does Realision have tools for creating fur-like for animals, similar to the hair building and facial hair tools? No, we do not. Unfortunately, we do not. There's plenty of amazing tools out there that deal with hair creation. Blender's one of them. A lot of people do hair creation in Blender. That's one of the I've seen tons of tutorials online where people do hair creation in Blender. They even rig it up with bones so you can have spring effects and physics and all that stuff. But yeah, not for character creator yet, not for hair creation, unfortunately. But we do have a lot of hair templates you can use to start with. So if that answers your question. Emmy asks, is there a tutorial on how to bring a custom character into iClone? My first step would be to click and drag your FBX directly into iClone and see if it automatically detects what type of rig it is. I mean, if it's a standard rig like a biped rig, like 3ds Max biped, or like a Maya biped, for example, or a Unreal like MetaHuman, whatever. All of these industry standard rigs, it automatically detects that and it automatically retargets it for you. So it's like literally just click and drag it in. It'll be like a drop down menu that says, confirm which type of character this is. And there's so many different types of characters that you can bring in. So um, that'll be my first suggestion. Otherwise, you may have to do like manual retargeting or manual bone mapping, like I mentioned earlier. All right, we got one more question here from Daniel. Is it safe to use modifiers in Blender that change the vertex count temporarily and then remove it before exporting back to iClone? Oh man, I've never tried that workflow. I was curious about that as well, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, as far as I can tell, as long as you remove the modifiers before you export it back, as long as the vertex count is the same, the vertex count is really what matters when it comes down to it. So if you change the vertex count, import and export, then it's not going to work. But temporary modifiers, I mean, yeah, it should be fine. But If it's temporary, I'm not sure how it would fit in the workflow, but yeah, as long as it's back to the original vertex count. So that's the end. That's all I can tell you there, Daniel. Vertex count, it has to be the same. I didn't show you guys. I was going to show you the error that would happen if I tried to bring in the tailed character back and forth, because the tailed character doesn't comply with the standard reillusion structure of any of the model types. So you can't use data link for that, but it'll just basically show up like invalid character on data link, and you won't be able to do it. But I think Daniel was thinking about multi-res sculpting. Yeah, multi-res sculpting. Um, again, I'm not sure if that would change the poly count. I think it does, right? In the end, it changes the structure, anyways. But it's not something that I'm super familiar with. But as long as, again, like I said, the vertex count, yeah, just test it out. Good idea. If I had the time, I'd be testing that stuff out too. Yeah, thanks. Daniel's gonna let us know if the multi-res sculpting is gonna work. Yeah, subdivision and stuff like that. Well, Emma says multi-res sculpting is fine. So Emma's one of our engineers at Reillusion. She says multi-res sculpting is fine. I know it works for ZBrush, 100%, but I wasn't sure about data links. So, all right, now we know, right? Whoa, drop my phone. All right, cool. Awesome, guys. I think that's about it for today's webinar. We had a ton of questions, ton of attendees. Thank you everyone so much for being here with us today. Really appreciate it. And again, make sure you fill the survey form and give us your feedback for any sort of future webinars you want to learn about, any sort of topics you want to, discuss, anything like that. And we'll have tons of more stuff in the future. Hope to see you guys back. So good night from Calgary. Good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. And I will see you next time. Thanks for being here, guys. Cheers.